whatever you do, stick and move. Stick and move. Don't stand in front of that man. Do not stand in front of my man.
I don't know how much confidence that Jake Paul have in all this, but you know he's gonna be a lot quicker. And if he stay close to Mike,
How about Jake? What do you think of Jake?
Clown.
Would you look at it as a joke if someone, if your team was like, yo, we want you to fight Jake Paul? Would you be like, come on, man?
I laugh at him.
Did you ever do a fight like that?
I feel as though in my career I can't do that right now.
Stephen A. Smith erupted on live TV with a blistering takedown of Gervonta, Tank Davis, saying the star fighter should be ashamed for agreeing to face YouTuber-turned-boxer Jake Paul. With his trademark fire and no-nonsense delivery, Smith slammed the matchup as a circus act that disrespects the sport of boxing. He accused Davis of abandoning integrity for hype, warning that the spectacle is more about headlines than competition. In one of his fiercest tirades yet, Smith made it crystal clear, this is not a fight to celebrate, but a fight to condemn.
Steven, I wanted you to come on the show to tell me that you think I'm a great boxer.
I think you're a damn good boxer with a lot of potential. And I got one problem with you, and I told you this already. You are skilled. You cannot be going in the ring beating up on dudes that you know don't box. You can't have a basketball player, UFC fighters. No, they strike. They don't box. There's a difference. They're not on your level.
As we all know, as a competitive sport boxing fan, this is nonsense. It doesn't make any sense for the sport, for Tank as a world champion fighting Jake Paul, as Jake Paul trying to become a world champion fighting Tank. None of that makes sense. Business-wise, this thing's gonna blow up. So let's see about the business of this thing. Let's see what the narrative is for this fight. Because again, I think Jake's gonna come in there and try to knock Tank Davis out. And if Tank's not taking him seriously, believe it or not, that potentially could happen. And I'll explain why. The breakdown, let's go.
Smith hammered home the staggering size and pedigree gap, pointing out that Jake Paul usually walks around at over 200 pounds, while Gervonta Davis fights at 135. He warned that this kind of spectacle could stain boxing's reputation, arguing that flashy crossover events risk turning the sport into nothing more than a sideshow. At the same time, Smith recalled the heated fallout after Davis's controversial majority draw with Lamont Roach in March. He stressed the weight of Tank's decorated record, brushing aside doubts and reminding critics of his championship poise. In Smith's view, Davis showed the heart of a true fighter by immediately embracing a rematch, proof that he remains confident in his place at the top and ready to silence any lingering questions.
I can't buy the hype at this particular moment in time. Now, I'll give Jake Paul credit for this. At least he's in the ring with a boxer. But 57 years old is 57 years old. And 57 years old and formally walking into a UFC fight as an audience member, as a patron with a cane, it's hard to me to believe a year later that you're going to be in any condition to really, really fight. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't know. And if you're Jake Paul, here's what I want to say to you. It's Mike Tyson, that's fine. It's a money fight, I get you, and you want to make money. But at some point in time, if you keep telling us that you're taking boxing seriously and you want to be recognized as a big-time boxer / fighter, you're going to have to fight somebody closer to your age, who is a contender at the very least in the sport and who lives with it every single day. Could you please get in the ring with somebody? Pretty please, with sugar on top. I'm interested. Gervonta Davis might be every bit as box office as Maverick himself. As exciting, as electric, because this dude performs every time out, y'all. Wherever Davis goes, wherever he fights, fans justifiably follow. He's that special. And Davis is without a doubt one of the top 5 pound-for-pound fighters in the world right now. Don't you even doubt it.
Smith went even further, placing Davis firmly among the top 3 fighters in the world, praising his power, his skill, and his knockout artistry. Tank, after all, is a world champion and one of boxing's most respected talents. Jake Paul, by contrast, is a YouTuber turned novice boxer, a name that comes more from entertainment than from the fight game. For a proven champion to step into the ring with such an inexperienced opponent, Smith argued, risks tarnishing his legacy. To him, the matchup was far beneath Tank's level. And that's why he declared Davis should be ashamed.
The world to recognize this is one of the top 5 fighters on the planet. He might be top 3.
Yeah.
You can make a legitimate argument for him being 3, 1, or whatever. Frank Martin, props to him, came into the fight 18-0, 12 knockouts. Clearly did not have the power to keep Gervonta Davis from stalking him from opening tap. That's what he did. He stalked him and stalked him and stalked him, okay? Frank Martin caught him with some good shots. Gervonta Davis kept coming. So he can punch. He's a knockout artist. He can box. He's not given enough credit for it, okay? He closes. He finishes. Once he smells blood, he's like a shark in blood-infested waters, Molly. He will finish you, okay? And by the way, he is an elite boxer. And so the time has come for this man.
Stephen A. Smith didn't hold back when addressing the wave of mismatched exhibition bouts, including the much-hyped Paul versus Tyson clash. He said Jake Paul should be saddened and even disgusted by such spectacles, blasting the mismatch with trademark bluntness. For Smith, the solution was simple. If Paul wants credibility, he must fight real competition, not retired legends or faded stars. Still, Smith acknowledged Paul's undeniable promotional genius and the spotlight he brings to boxing. But he made it clear that attention alone isn't enough. Jake Paul is a professional, Smith declared. At some point, I don't give a damn if it's a light heavyweight, a super middleweight, Canelo, or the Mexican monster David Benavidez, somebody with a real reputation. The time has come for Jake Paul to step into the ring with a fighter who actually boxes for a living. Smith added that his criticism came from respect. He likes Jake Paul. He respects Jake Paul. But because of that, he wants to see him face the best, not sidestep them. It ain't just about popularity, bro. Smith warned after Gervonta Davis publicly challenged Paul following the Tyson fight. Paul lightened the mood in his own way. At the post-fight press conference, he signaled his openness to the bout, but couldn't resist taking a playful jab at Tank's height, joking about weight classes and wondering aloud if boxing had a similar rule for size. It was a pointed yet humorous dig, highlighting both the glaring mismatch and the theater surrounding the moment, injecting levity into an otherwise tense promotional back and forth.
Jake Paul is a professional. At some point in time, I don't give a damn if it's a light heavyweight. Better be Bivol, a super middleweight, Canelo, Mexican monster, David Benavidez, somebody that actually has a reputation. The time has come for Jake Paul to step into the ring with a cat who actually boxes for a living and give us that fight. I appreciate the fact of him promoting. I appreciate him having the cachet as a former YouTuber turned boxer. I like Jake Paul. I respect Jake Paul. I'm just saying, because I like him and because I respect him, I want to see him in the ring. And I don't want to hear, I know his numbers are better, but then he's going to say, I don't need Canelo. Canelo needs me. Well, wait a minute. It ain't just about popularity, bruh.
Rolly Romero offered a different angle, focusing on the audience impact of these blockbuster events. In his view, the Paul versus Davis fight on Netflix is a massive draw, especially among younger fans in the United States. He argued that while Canelo versus Crawford carries huge weight with Mexican and Latin American audiences, the Paul Davis exhibition will likely pull a larger stateside crowd, particularly those under 20. Romero made it clear that from a pure sporting standpoint, Canelo versus Crawford is the superior matchup. But he also stressed that both fights expand boxing's reach in unique ways. For him, the combination of tradition and spectacle is ultimately a win for the sport.
Right. Jake Paul responds to Gervonta Tank Davis' call out and absolutely takes the moment and the opportunity to clown Gervonta Tank Davis's height in the sport of boxing. And he says here, is there a height limit in the sport of boxing? This is where Jake Paul says, and his team, Gervonta Tank Davis needs me. We don't need Gervonta Tank Davis. Let's listen here.
Gervonta Davis just posted that he would beat the brakes off of you if you guys fight.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be down. Let's run it. Like,
I'll be super down. I don't know if
Gervonta needs Jake Paul. Let's be clear, right?
is there a height limit in boxing?
WBC lightweight champion Shakur Stevenson didn't hold back when weighing in on the Davis Paul buzz. He issued a sharp warning to Tank, calling the very idea of chasing an exhibition with Jake Paul disrespectful to boxing. Stevenson argued that if Davis truly wanted credibility, he should step into the ring with a legitimate contender, like himself. Confident that he's the best in the division, Stevenson laid down the challenge. If Tank wants to prove he's the top dog, the path runs straight through him.
Will it impact Tank's legacy if Jake Paul were like to beat him or even like knock him out?
Dude, Tank's a 3-division world champion, a 4-time 3-division world champion. At the end of it, bro, you can't take anything away from him. Bro, you can't be mad at somebody for doing what they feel is best for them. It's the same way Roach feels Tank is the best option for him. Same way that Stevenson thinks Tank's the best option for him, or like all that stuff, right? At the end of it, bro, we just want to do what's best for ourselves, right?
Facts.
Right or wrong?
Facts.
So just do what's best for you.
All of a sudden, we want to know who will win in this fight, Jake Paul or Tank Davis? It's a legit question. And I actually want to really hear your thoughts on who do you think is going to win. Because I know what Vegas is saying, but I want to know what you think. You got
Personally, I think Tank too little, bro.
Yo,
I think Tank too little.
I'm so glad you have a brain on your fucking shoulder.
I think Tank too little.
I said, bro.
I think Tank's too little. That's what I'm saying. At weight classes for a reason.
Davis
that weight classes for a reason.
5'5", 135 pounds. Jake Paul is 6 feet, 205 pounds.
That's what I'm saying.
Dog.
He's too
6'1",
little.
205. Everybody's like, yeah, bro, but Tank it only takes one good punch. Yes, it takes one good punch when you're about the same size. There's a 60, 70 pound difference in weight in these people. I don't think nobody puts the physics in mind. Jake Paul gets punched in the face by dudes 200 pounds with all their might on a weekly basis. A 135 pound puncher, bro. If y'all remember the Mayweather versus Conor McGregor fight, Conor walks around like 180 on the regular. He's like 5'9", 180. Mayweather's like 5'7", 145. That 30-pound, 20, 30-pound difference, bro, if you remember that fight, Mayweather was putting mittens on Conor. Guess what happened to Conor? He didn't hit the ground once.
No.
He lasted all 12 rounds getting hit with flurries. I'm talking about Mayweather was having his time. He's being cocky with it, hitting him with all kind of combos. And we're watching the last 3 rounds of that shit like, yo, knock him out. And you know what? He could not knock him out. Because Conor gets punched by people that are 170, 180 pounds on a regular. And just that 20, 30-pound difference, it was like impossible for him to do anything. And that's exactly what I feel like is going to happen versus Jake and Tank.
Davis's longtime trainer, Calvin Ford, pushed back against the critics with a bold statement of his own. In an interview with Stephen A. Smith, Ford declared that the only man capable of beating Tank is Tank himself. No opponent, he argued, has truly pushed Davis to his limits yet. Ford stressed that the world still hasn't seen the full extent of Tank's greatness, and his mission as a trainer is to unlock even more of Davis's untapped potential.
Didn't say you got your eye on Tank. What do you think about the rumors of Tank and Jake fight?
Man, Tank disrespectful to the sport if he choose that over fighting with me. I'm the best fighter in the sport. I've been telling him that. He called cap on it, so if you want to call cap and say I'm not.
Very trainer Teddy Atlas weighed in, calling Gervonta, Tank, Davis the most complete fighter in the lightweight division. He highlighted Davis's devastating power, sharp counterpunching, disciplined footwork, and high ring IQ, qualities that, in Atlas's view, separate him from everyone else. Atlas went as far as to suggest that Tank is the only fighter with the tools to defeat Jake Paul, who has proven difficult for many because of his size and unorthodox style. For Atlas, it isn't just Davis's knockout power that makes him dangerous, but his patience, pressure, and all-around mastery of boxing's fundamentals.
Who do you want to see? You, as a guy that's in his trainer, that's like a father figure to him, you're training him all the time, you know him, both y'all from the streets of Baltimore the whole bit. Who do you want to see Tank fight?
I want him to get all of them that ran their mouth.
Give me the names. I need names, Calvin. I need names.
You already know. We went down to, we working on the big 4. It was Garcia. That's the first one. Roma, I hope we get him soon. Shakur, he's going to get it. He know he's going to get it. It's just Bob is in charge of that. You know what I'm saying? Bob know what he's doing over there. You can't tell Bob how to run his game because he's like a vet at this. He's been doing it for so many years. That's going to happen. All the fights that we'll want, they have no choice. They're going to take the fight when it's time to take the fight. It's just right now, who's going to take the fight? That's the question.
On the latest episode of the Toe to Toe podcast, the panel dove into the controversy surrounding Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis. Their conclusion was blunt. No professional boxer would ever turn down a fight with such massive financial upside, no matter the glaring skill and weight disparities. Analysts Gary Logan and David Adelia argued that money and exposure often outweigh legacy or meaningful matchups, even for elite fighters. They pointed to Davis's decision to prioritize the pay-per-view spectacle over a rematch with Lamont Roach as proof of that reality. Co-host Dan Moore added that Paul versus Davis feels less like a sporting contest and more like an inevitable crossover event, controversial, entertaining, and sure to grab headlines, but one that risks overshadowing the fights that truly define greatness.
One final thing I'm going to throw at you, the news, Jake Paul versus Tank Davis. Now, here on this podcast a few weeks ago, we talked about the possibility of Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua. And that one got me a little excited and gave a lot of credit to Paul if it was going to happen, because he wouldn't have all the advantages that we've been accustomed to seeing him have, right? He wouldn't be the taller, the longer, the younger fighter in a lot of cases that he has.
And he'd be in with a real boxer, a real world champion boxer. That the only other time he was in, for the fans to get mad with that, was against Fury's Tommy Fury, but it wasn't that level, obviously, and all the size things you just rightfully pointed out. But he would have been in there with, it seemed crazy. You're going to go in there with a guy who was a two-time heavyweight champ and a gold medalist? Wow. Even though the guy's, at a twilight part of his career, still.
And you've given a lot of credit and props to Jake Paul on this show of helping get more eyeballs to the sport, but the way he takes it serious and goes about his approach and his work to this craft, that he does take it seriously. With that being said, when he announces Tank Davis, I'm getting tired of these gimmick fights and him loading the deck up. Whether it was Chavez Jr. or an old Mike Tyson, or we could go on with some of the UFC guys and the great Anderson Silva at 46 years of age. Tank Davis, great fighter, current fighter, world champion. We know how good he is. Been a top 10 pound-for-pound guy for you for the last few years now. But he's 5'5" and 135 pounds. This sounds like it would be a 195-pound fight.
On the other hand, former heavyweight Eddie Chambers issued a stern warning to Jake Paul, reminding him that stepping in against Gervonta, Tank Davis would be unlike anything he's faced before. Chambers underscored Tank's speed, explosive power, and elite ring IQ, qualities that Jake's past opponents, whether aging athletes or inexperienced boxers, could never replicate. He cautioned that no amount of showmanship would prepare Paul for the relentless danger Davis brings between the ropes. Beyond Chambers' warning, the matchup itself has drawn sharp criticism. Many in the boxing world have dismissed it as a spectacle disguised as sport, driven more by dollars than competition. Commentators from boxing scene went as far as to call it a greedy, cartoonish sideshow, lamenting how tradition and merit are being sacrificed for clicks and cash. In their eyes, the event represents a troubling step backward for the sweet science.
This is James Dutton for Round 8 Boxing. Delighted to be joined with Jamie Moore. Jamie, how are you, mate?
I'm all right, thanks. You?
Stuff, yeah, very good. Thank you, mate. Let's get straight into the big news that came out today. I don't know if you've seen it yet or not. Exhibition in November, Jake Paul versus Gervonta Tank Davis. What do you make of it?
I haven't seen that. I'm trying my best to stay off social media, to be honest with you. I'm not succeeding that well, but while I was away on holiday, I've been my phone off for 2 weeks, and I enjoyed the break from it, and it's slowly creeping back. I'm trying to stay away from the light, but yeah, I've not seen that. So interesting. He's so much bigger than Gervonta, like so much bigger. So I don't know how much of an exhibition it'll be, but because I'm assuming if and when he lands on Gervonta, he ain't going to take it well. I'm sure he's going to set about him. So that should be interesting, just for the fact of the size difference, to be honest.
I mean, A lot of people already saying Tank's going to knock him out. You know, he's world champion, but at 135 pounds, Jake weighed over 200 pounds in his last fight. Just how much of a factor is that fight, regardless of how much of a novice Jake Paul is?
Yeah, listen, these weight divisions for a reason, and you know, when I think was it Logan Paul who fought Floyd Mayweather in an exhibition, and he had moments where he had success, literally just because of the size of him.
New fans are left wondering what boxing truly values when such uneven matchups take the spotlight. Instead of a celebration of skill and merit, the focus shifts towards spectacle and entertainment. The glaring imbalance, Paul typically around 200 pounds, Davis a 135-pound lightweight, turns the contest into a novelty rather than a true test of ability. Many critics call it a disgrace, a weight bully mismatch that undermines the sport's credibility, even joking that boxing has officially gone WWE. Yet, some admire Davis for chasing the payday, recognizing the pragmatism in his choices. Voices like Andre Berto point out that Tank isn't concerned with pleasing purists. His priority is financial success, and there's no shame in that.
To keep it solid with you, I'm not a fan of this matchup at all. You got Gervonta Davis, who's been eating county jail spreads for the last month and a half, and he didn't look good in his last fight against Roach, where he had a draw, but most people felt like he got his ass tapped, so he needs the money. Then you got Jake Paul, who gets the beat on a nigga a whole foot shorter than him and 100 pounds lighter than him. And I think this is just nasty work. This screams money grab. And then you know what? The fans lose in the end on this one. Netflix wins, Jake Paul wins, and Tank wins. We lose. Nasty work.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned for more updates, analysis, and inside looks at the biggest moments in boxing. Until next time, keep your eyes on the ring.
He should beat Jake Paul, shouldn't he?
No, he shouldn't.
You don't think? Sorry. So, I thought we were all unanimous here. You think that
shouldn't.
You think Jake Paul beats Gervonta Davis?
70 pounds is 70 pounds.
Gervonta Davis is very small. 5'5".
He's tiny, bro. That's
You
what I'm
got
saying.
Jake Paul
He's
6'1".
a little man.
If Jake Paul's tucking up,
move on,
and absorbing punishment and walking forward, and look, there's a way to run it.